It always amazes me every time we come up to Morecambe, just the amount of enthusiasm and the people we're meeting. Some people say it's because of the Eden Project. I'd like to thank Rod this afternoon for having a free bar. I think that's probably, or it might be as well. And again, if we're looking at settings and stories, I think as Eden Project we must sit somewhere between Doc Martin and Poldark. So I'm not sure where that kind of puts us, but that's where I guess some of the dramas are for us in Cornwall right now. I was at an event yesterday, and it was with Bay Tourism, and some of you may have been here from Bay Tourism. And I think what's most important, I think, is for people to realise, it is as Alice has just said, we're rapidly coming to that point of, instead of us getting into a taxi when we come up or start walking, and people saying, you know, where are you from? We're from Cornwall. Are you from Eden? Yes, we are. Is it going to happen? We're rapidly coming to the point of, well, when is it going to happen? And what I hope I'm going to share with you this afternoon for the time I'm allowed before me and some food, is effectively to kind of say, these are the steps we're going through, because I think this is a different audience to the ones I've spoken to before, because Alistair's absolutely right, there's a lot of challenges in business at the moment, there's a lot of challenges whatever part of the sector you're in, and what people are seeking is confidence. What people are seeking, we guess, is that sense of certainty that enables you as businesses, entrepreneurs, to take decisions. Eden is in that space too. People are seeking certainty that says, have you got the land? Have you got the funding? Have you got the will to see this through? Where many schemes have fallen in Morecambe before. So what I hope to do in the kind of 20 minutes or so is A, to give you a sense of that, and if you have any questions as well, take them. I'm happy to take any questions. I'd like to shout out as well for a couple of colleagues and of course some partners as well. So Professor Rob Barrett, who's here from on our education as well, Emma Critchley, who works in our team, and of course none of this would be happening without wonderful partnerships, because these things get done as a team. So again, the wonderful Dame Sue Black from Lancaster University, and we've got Kieran as well from Lancaster City Council. We're doing this with Lancashire, or the LEP from Lancashire, and also with Lancashire County Council. So the first thing I want to say really is, this is going to happen, and it's happening in partnership with 4 other partners, but most importantly it's happening with all of you. And whether you've heard me speak before, or you've met people from the Eden Project before, it doesn't really matter. The sense is, from this moment, we are starting something that's going to be absolutely incredible for Morecambe. Absolutely incredible for the region. This is an agenda for the Northwest, not just for the kind of regional, kind of microcosm of just kind of Lancashire. And it's a national story. And it's a national story as much as the Bay is a brilliant story at 9 o'clock this evening. Is a wonderful, wonderful story that says there's a future to Morecambe. And back to when people were asking, you know, you made your pitch to ITV, you came up with this scheme, and at the end you said, and it's set in Morecambe. We resonate with that, because when we put the DNA together of this Eden Project, and then you say, it's in Morecambe, for us we don't get that, oh, I was surprised by that. For us it makes absolute sense. And it makes absolute sense because Morecambe has absolutely wonderful DNA. People say, well, what do you mean by that? So Eden Project, and can we show of hands who's been to Eden Project in Cornwall? Brilliant. Those who haven't been, please get down the M5. Other travel options are available, I know. But so what that says, an Eden Project was conceived in a time that was about people and plants. It was about the sense of climate change, that sense of bringing a story to the loss of habitat, and the real issues that go from deforestation, amongst many other things, of fragile climate, fragile ecosystems. That hasn't changed in any way, shape or form. In fact, it's more important now than it's ever been, ever been. But that's not what is going to happen here. So the purpose of Morecambe, with its wonderful DNA, is there's this incredible Ramsar site, incredible site of special scientific interest, and any other number of designations that just make the Bay incredible. But linked to that, there's also an incredible community, and myself and my colleagues feel continually thankful for the people we are meeting. And those are obviously professional relationships, but very quickly we're meeting people now for 6 months, if not beyond, and that's now becoming, we're being welcomed into the groups we're with, and it's feeling warmer and warmer and warmer. And that speaks to your point, which is Morecambe has a wonderful community. And therefore, not only does this make sense from an Eden Project perspective, that we've got this wonderful natural environment that sits on the bay, on the promenade, but when we turn left, right, and looking back into the town, we see an incredible community that wants this to happen, that really says we want this to happen. And the next challenge for us, of course, is harnessing that energy that makes it go from the we want it to happen to when's it going to happen. But the DNA is there. Morecambe has a wonderful sense of place in terms of the natural setting, but it's also got a wonderful, wonderful community that makes this different. It makes it different because not only do you have a community that's passionate, it has a community that frankly is prepared to roll its sleeves up and say, we're with you. And I'm really hoping in me speaking today and being amongst this group of people, amongst you, you share that ambition to make this project happen, because we want that to happen too. So what's next? What does it involve? Well, fundamentally, Morecambe has a history. I'm speaking to the converted here, which talks about a history from the industrial northwest, beauty abounds and health surrounds, and there's part of that in what we're proposing as well, which means it is about, can we make, as Alistair was inferring, Morecambe the healthiest place in the United Kingdom? And it's not just us, there's a wonderful element working with Lancaster University with a Health Innovation Campus that says we can put some serious science behind this as well, and say, what makes you feel good? Who can not be mesmerised and surprised by the fact that when you're out in nature, often you feel better. When you kick your shoes off and you start walking in nature, across the bay, feeling the water, the sands, you connect in a different way. How can we bring that to life? There is some serious science behind that, and we're going to try and understand that better. I think there's also of making sure that Eden's known best for people connecting with each other as communities, and what can we do to increase that as well. And of course then there's that sense of fun, to be joyful and to make sure the energy that is Eden Project, for those who've been to Eden know that's something we pride ourselves on, is to create an offer all year round that means it is an absolutely wonderful visit destination. And again, from a business community, in terms of numbers, we're planning on 750,000 people coming to visit a year, and that doesn't mean they're all coming on one day, somebody asked that. It really doesn't, and that would be a transport headache. But what it means is there's a new draw, there's a new flow, there's new people who may not have come to see this wonderful area, and therefore we can showcase that in a different way, and everybody working together can make Morecambe better, can make the region better, and make things economically stronger. The other thing I probably want to add is that Eden Project's known clearly for transformation, and those of you who've been and seen what was the clay pit and the kind of the industrial setting, and of course now it's completely different into the largest man-made rainforest that there is. This year we celebrated our 18th year of operations, our 20 millionth visitor came, and in terms of regional economy, £2 billion has been put into the economy of Devon and Cornwall. If we can bring some of that transformation, even in a small sense, to this place, wouldn't that be wonderful? And hopefully then, as business leaders, entrepreneurs, people in the Chamber of Commerce, that hopefully is an amazing thing, but we're not going to do it on our own, we need to do these things together. I'm really minded as well of some of the comments from yesterday, which is, how do we get involved? How do we start linking into this already? Well, one of the things that's really important from the outset is the sense that we pride ourselves on having a supply chain that is 80% based in Devon and Cornwall. And that doesn't mean we're suddenly providing Kelly's ice creams, again, coming up the N5 here, or the clotted cream is going to make its way. I really hope a small part of that does hope it happen, because it is wonderful. But what it means is to say, what are the new supply chains? What are the new businesses? What are the ways that some of the hero products of the region can be showcased? And absolutely part of our strategy for the future is going to be working with you, is to make sure the way we work in Cornwall, the principles we've set up, the way we've worked with all businesses across Cornwall, those principles, the supply chains that have meaning, the supply chains can link products to our visitors, really do ring true. So you know where that's come from, and you can absolutely see a straight line to where it comes from in this wonderful, wonderful region. So the challenge to everybody as we start is to say, if you want to be part of this, let's see what those hero products are. Let's see what the businesses are. Let's see how we can make the best supply chain in the United Kingdom that has connections of meaning and purpose between products and our visitors, so people really understand what's happening. And likewise, I've noticed obviously with the City Council here, there's also a challenge which says we know retail's in a really difficult place. When we come and we wander around areas of Morecambe, we know there are challenges there. But as Alistair was saying, the future is ours to make. And rather than saying this is all that there is, this is an amazing opportunity. So how can we create the environment that says this is entrepreneurial, this does offer growth, this does offer opportunity. And if you wanted to start your own business, here's the place to do it, and this is the reason why. And so we have to create that culture. And sharing something with you that happened yesterday, and I don't think we really noticed it happened until we started maybe thinking, did that just happen? A culture is emerging. And the culture that's emerging in this particular project is really, really different from every other project that I work on. And as a team, we work globally, not just here. We've got projects all over the world. And the difference in culture is when you look at people around you, everybody has such a positive view. There's not a single person we've worked with that says, oh, this is going to be really, you're not going to do this. And the culture is a culture of positivity. It's a culture of saying, that may not have gone well that particular time, but we're going to improve it. We're going to make sure this is better the next time we do it. It's a culture that says, together we're going to do this. It's a culture that also says, I've got your back, because we know this isn't going to be easy. And it's a culture that says, even though you may stumble from time to time, there'll be somebody behind you that's going to catch you and make sure we're all doing this together. That is a wonderful culture, and it's a sense of the culture that is Morecambe. It's a culture that says, we know there's a future, and we want it to be ours, and we're going to make it for ourselves. It's an utter privilege for us to be part of that. This culture is now the project culture, and so when we get in the taxi and people say, is it going to happen? The timeline that I'll set out to you in a moment, we know it is going to happen, and the reason behind it isn't because this is any easier than any other project we deal with. It's because that culture is there, that no matter what the stumbling blocks are, the Eden project occurring in Morecambe, we have the people with us that will get through those things together. And we really hope with this wonderful community, you're with us because we need you. We cannot do it alone. So it's a call to action as much as it's a call to lunch to say, in 2022, the back end of 2022, we'd love you all to be there to start looking at that pre-operational phase and starting to look at how we can get Eden Project North to fruition. And in terms of timeline, I've just said it, the back end of 2022 probably is going to be our pre-operational phase, and then main operations in 2023. It's on us, it's really, really close. We've started the planning applications now. We're hoping to submit our planning approvals to go through for March next year. We're then hoping to get that approval by July, and we'll be into construction hopefully in autumn of next year. That's spades in the ground, which is a wonderful thing to happen. But before all that, there's things that can also happen, and I think I'd just like to highlight education. Education is the key to the future. I'm saying it's a very glib thing to say, but it genuinely is the case. And every time that members of the team look at education, realise how pivotal it is, whether that's training our future workforce, increasing the skill set, or actually just looking at the early years and junior schools and wondering, well, what is the future? How can we make sure that Eden Project, which by the way is an educational charity, which I hope people realise, has an instrumental part to play in the education offer for Morecambe and the wider region. There's many people in this room that know it far better than me, but I think it's really important to say that, because the education part of Eden Project starts now. It doesn't have to wait for any space to go in the ground. And if you have children in early years education or you're involved in education in some way, please seek out those stories of how education can facilitate a future that again is yet to be made, and to give people hope that through learning many, many things are possible. The only final thing I think I'd say is just in terms of what's happening in the next 6 months to make this really, really tangible. So the things and our priorities for the next 6 months, fundamentally, is we're looking to secure the land. And for those who aren't aware what the site is next to the Midland Hotel in the where the kind of the bubble swimming pool was and the Dome Theatre, immediately across the promenade from the Winter Gardens. And we're looking to achieve that by the back end of July. So by July, I'm hoping I can stand on a stage again and give you an update on where things are, but likewise, I'd like to hold up and say, the land, we've worked out an agreement with the City Council. And Kieran, I can just say thank you so much for the work that you and your team are doing, with the planning team as well, to help that to happen. Also, the next thing, of course, is really, really important for us, is to make sure that we've got the investment. There's many business leaders here know that until you have the proper investment, you don't have a plan. And in terms of investment, the key thing there is this is a national scheme, so we'll be going to central government as part of a wider pot of funding to try and secure £40 million from central government for this scheme. Overall, it's about an £84 million scheme to bring to fruition, but this is significant, it's of national reputation, and therefore why shouldn't it, post-Brexit, be something that the central government should be looking to fund from all different departments to bring this together. There's other funding streams as well on top of that, and if anyone has a particularly rich philanthropist, please give them pass on my details, and many of them as a team. The other thing around that, of course, is just making sure we've got the offer what is it? What are we going to have? And we're looking forward to sharing that more with you over the coming months. But Eden being Eden, we're going to keep that quite close to our chests for now. But it's going to be amazing, and it won't be like Cornwall, but many of the things that are familiar for the Cornwall offer will clearly be present. And I think the final things about what needs to happen is two really, is community engagement. And by community engagement, we don't say it as a sense of, we've done community engagement. We mean proper community engagement, where you get down, you roll your sleeves up, you talk to people about what their hopes, their dreams, their fears, what it means for them, how you live your life, what you want to happen, what could happen, what you want for your children. Get food, get tea. God, get tea. We need tea, more tea to have those conversations. And really, truly understand the fabric of Morecambe. That is really, really difficult for us to do, working and living in Cornwall. So the other challenge for us, to everybody here, is help us find those narratives, help us find the stories of Morecambe that really mean that when we talk about the community, we have a genuine sense that we understand the community issues and pressures, that we don't just take this thin veneer on the promenade and say, yeah, we've got that, because we haven't. And we need everybody to help us point us in the right direction of that community view. And the final one, before I've rabbited on far too long, is this sense of energy. I get up in the morning and try and bounce through life, and it kind of works for now, but that's due to probably lots of coffees, I think. But the sense of the energy that's in this room, the fact you've all come today to enjoy the free bar, care of Rod obviously, is the fact that you cannot lose the sense of energy around this project. You cannot lose it. And therefore, every time I speak, every time Emma's here, every time Rob's here, every time anyone from the project is here, we hold this sense of energy with a sense of it's fragile, and every time we speak to people, if every single person here speaks to their neighbour, speaks to their children, speaks to other people and say, I went to this thing today, I heard all about Eden Project, and it's going to happen. There's a snowball that becomes compelling. That energy that we're creating on this project, that culture, is something we want everybody to share. Not just because they listen to me, or to Tim Smith, or to Dave Harland, because you absolutely passionately believe in this project as much as we do. So my final challenge is to keep the energy of this project, be with us, and I really hope, and we all hope, that on the opening day at the back end of 2022, we're all stood there together. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be amongst you.